Good afternoon. The Arts Council for Monterey County welcomes you to our monthly online segment, Artist Spotlight. I am Karen Lee Garcia, the program's director, and today I am pleased to welcome renowned photographer and executive director of the local nonprofit, the Weston Collective. Hi, Zach Weston, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Awesome. So Zach Weston is a fourth generation fine art film photographer for one of the most influential and creative families in American photographic history. His great-grandfather was Edward Weston, his great-uncle was Brett Weston, grandfather Cole Weston, and his father is Kim Weston. And Zach's photography focuses on fine art nudes, landscapes, and abstracts. The Weston Collective the Weston Collective, there's a little typo here, sorry, was founded in 2004 to inspire and uplift the next generation of photographers through youth programs, mentorships, exhibitions, community workshops, and the Weston Scholarship Competition. And as a 501c3 nonprofit organization, the Weston Collective relies on its generous patrons and supporters to continue Edward Weston's photographic legacy in local schools. And after going to San Diego for college, the deep artistic roots of this area pulled Zach back. And in 2017, he took over as executive director of the Weston Collective. Since then, Zach helped establish their headquarters in Seaside, where they are partnered with Martin Luther King Jr. School of the Arts, began teaching fifth graders darkroom photography, and incorporated Santa Cruz County into their annual portfolio competition. So thank you so much for being here today, and welcome, Zach, to our program.
Thank you.
So we were just reminiscing about COVID and being in a shutdown. So tell us a little bit about, what took place during that time and how the Weston Collective was affected.
Yeah, the COVID shutdown hit us pretty hard, to be honest. To go back to when we started the nonprofit, my parents started it in 2004, like you said, and it was to keep the funding for the arts alive in our schools, in our high schools and colleges. And what they did was incorporated a portfolio competition where students submitted work, and it was a 10-piece portfolio where they handed it in. We had judges to pick the winners, and then we had a show. Mm-hmm. And because of COVID, we've been doing that since 2004, and that was sort of cut from our programming. Schools weren't in, we could, kids weren't in the dark room, and so we really had to adapt to that. We had to go all online. We didn't want to totally cut the program because we believed it was important to keep recognizing the local students who were doing photography, mm-hmm. even during these trying times. I mean, even, with the shutdowns, students were still creating amazing work. So we really wanted to still highlight that. And so we
And what time of year typically was the competition? When did you typically have that?
So the competition runs, it's basically, the deadline is like late April with the show being in May. So it's that full mm-hmm. calendar year for students to create work. Yeah, so they have the 2 semesters to work in the darkroom usually, mm-hmm. because the darkroom is doing film photography in a darkroom is not an easy task, especially if you're in a classroom with 30 other kids. It definitely requires a lot of discipline and hard work.
Right.
And it's just, it's great when the students submit that. I mean, it's just such a proud thing to have, even if you don't win a scholarship, just having that portfolio of 10 images that you made it's an mm-hmm. amazing accomplishment.
Amazing.
But, yeah.
Like you said, it was shut down during that time. So and this is the word of the shutdown, how did you pivot during that time?
Yeah, so we pivoted online, like I was saying. So we still did our scholarship exhibition. We just had kids submit online with a smaller portfolio of images. We still had judges. We went through, we picked winners. We put the show on our website because we couldn't do an in-person show, and still gave scholarships out to kids. I mean, they were a little reduced than what they were before because Also, due to the pandemic, we weren't able to host our yearly fundraising campaign, which is called New Bohemian Nights, which is a catered dinner at our house in Carmel Highlands, where we have wine, we have food, and people who sign up get to walk away with a print, either by my dad or our good friend Roman Laurent, who's a very well-known fine art film photographer who's supported us for many, many years. And yeah, it's an amazing event that it's just been a bummer to have to not been able to do it for the past couple of years. And so that really hit us hard, because that was just how we funded our scholarships every year. And we sort of changed that that aspect of fundraising. So instead of, doing the in-person fundraising dinner, we switched to an online fundraising campaign where we did an online auction. And we had, we have so many local artists, amazing local photographers and artists in this area, that we reached out for donations of artwork, and then we held an online auction to raise money for the scholarships this year, or the last couple of years.
I did notice too during that time. I mean, I always was getting your emails, but I did notice, like, okay, he's doing a lot. There's a lot happening with the Weston Collective during that time. So your presence definitely was felt and appreciated. I was definitely, engaging during that time. And I can imagine, even with it rotating to online, you probably even saw like an uptick of engagement. So yeah, we appreciate that you were keeping that going for the community.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, there were tough times, and sometimes art is a great outlet for, if you're struggling, or you're at home, you can't go anywhere, and yeah, it's just a good way to like express emotions. And we still wanted to offer that opportunity to these students. Along with doing the online exhibition, I also did some artist highlights, where I just sort of asked students who had either won before, or just students in the community, what they were doing, what they were photographing. And we put like their images up on our blog with a little write-up of who they are and what they were doing. So that was just another way to try to keep things going. So it's not, we were ramping up so much until COVID. I mean, we partnered with Martin Luther King School of the Arts in 2018. Then me and my dad went to work on our headquarters here. We built a dark room, painted everything, put in new countertops, built a developing room.
Wow.
And we had just started doing 5th grade work, and I was doing after school programs. And the plan is to build and build and build and have those kids come back. And then it just shut, and then it just was gone. So it was just a big blow. I mean, I have students that I did after school programs with that are like now in 7th grade that are like emailing me and wanting to come back in.
Right.
So
well, that's
cool.
good.
Yeah, it's so that shows that we made some impact on some of the students. So it's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to show the audience, and maybe you can just give a little a little preview of what we're going to see here for the online Belief art auction, how this video came about, or you can tell us afterwards. We'll show the audience now.
Okay.
I love that video.
It's so funny to see. I hadn't seen it in so long. it was a pretty funny idea. It was during like right when the shutdown was happening, and everything was pretty new, and I just had the idea to do an online auction to raise some funds, and I thought it'd be fun to sort of play on the whole like elbow bumping at
Mhm.
masks, that COVID, 5, 6 feet apart, and all those people in that video are all great friends of ours, and they're great artists, and I wouldn't have been able to do what we did without their support. So I mean, it's just a huge thank you to them for donating their work and helping us continue our mission, even though we were shut down and not at full capacity.
Right, right. And yeah, I just love the energy in the video and just coming together and feeling the community. So I'm glad you were able to keep that going. Absolutely. So, that was, what was happening during the shutdown. So, now we want to hear how the community can participate in the Weston Collective now. What is going on? I'm also curious, kind of the origin story of you starting the partnership with Martin Luther King School of the Arts. And so if you can share a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, so the Martin Luther King School of the Arts, they became a turnaround arts school, which is a school that gets a large grant from the Kennedy Center
Mhm.
to hire new teachers to do, basically they teach like art electives, which is a super
Right.
cool and I think a unique program for these kids. There's dance, I think there was rock band, theater, um,
They
all
have
this
it all. They
they
have
have
it
all
all.
this cool stuff. Yeah, it's really amazing. And one of the teachers that was brought on is Miss Wendy Everett, and she was a photography teacher, and she taught darkroom to high school students up in Sacramento for many years. So she came down here and wanted to incorporate darkroom photography. And I think she just like must have found us via like online, just Googling,
Mhm.
like, and just found the Weston Collective and what we were doing. And then she reached out and informed me that they had this wing of the school, because this school used to be a middle school and now it's an elementary school. So there's a lot of empty buildings that they're going to fill with nonprofits. And she asked if we would be interested, and I was like, yes, we're very interested, because before then it was just my mom and dad operating the nonprofit out of their home, out of
Right.
their office. So we never really had like a space to work in. And like over the years, we've collected so many donations of photography equipment, and we never had
Mhm.
anywhere to put them. So, we had all this darkroom stuff, all of, a lot of our friends who sort of, did film but switched to digital. They had all this really good gear, and like we wanted to take it because we knew one day we were going to have a space to be able to put it in. And then this popped up, and it was like a dream come true to partner with this school and have this facility for the kids and the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, no. To just hear, I remember hearing when this was kind of happening, speaking with Wendy, and I was like, "God, there's going to be a dark room on camp." It's just amazing. So
Yeah.
such an amazing opportunity for the students there.
Yeah.
And what does the program look like? Like, what do the students expect, like on a weekly basis, working with you?
Yeah, so right now, like I was saying before, we were ramping up and had a couple days of teaching plus after school before everything shut down. And so now we're getting back sort of in the swing of things. This quarter, we do one day a week. We have 2 sections. Um, Basically, we split her class. So one half of the class stays in her darkroom because she built a little darkroom in her room too. And
Mhm.
then half of the class comes here, and we do that on Mondays. And then after this quarter, the plan is to flush that out, offer more programs during school, and then do more after school programs. But yeah, they're learning all sorts of. We start very basic, we do pinhole photo. It's all darkroom right now. So we start with pinhole photography using like soda cans with light sensitive paper to make images, and then last week we did photograms, which is using the enlarger. You place objects on photosensitive paper.
Mhm.
And this last Monday we shot with Holgas. So there's, we slowly working them way up to the
Right.
cameras. And and then once we have the after school program, then you just practice, you just keep
Mhm.
building on those skills, and you just have more time in the dark room, more time learning how to reel film and all those things that come into darkroom photography, because there's a lot of different things that go on, a lot of different steps. You learn a lot. It's interesting. It's like it's an art, but you're also like learning about chemistry and a lot of
Right.
patience. It's
Yes, and how to
yeah,
be safe and
yeah,
all the different things. I'm going to share a couple images so our audience can see, what you're doing on a weekly basis.
awesome.
And share a little bit here.
Yeah, so that's a group last we were doing in 2019. It was like the first group
Hmm.
after school program group. It's grown quite a bit now. I mean, when we do the in-class sessions now, I mean, it's at least 20 kids. I mean, we split it so 10 and 10, but
Right.
um, yeah,
I just love their smiles. They're just so excited.
right.
Okay, let's see if I can advance here. All right.
Yeah, so this is after school program. So these four ladies wanted to pursue photography more. So they came and we did, after school sessions. That's them after they just, I think, probably rolled and developed their first 35 roll of 35 millimeter film. You can see they're pretty stoked about it.
They're so excited.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. They get really excited, and this is them again. And that's all the cameras that they use to go out and photograph. We're lucky to have a lot of good donations of camera equipment, and we're always looking for camera equipment donations as well. That's another thing. We're pretty stocked on darkroom equipment, but
Hmm.
having good film cameras that are automatic are really helpful for like the 5th and 6th graders to learn.
So that's a good call to action to our audience, and you're looking for more cameras. So
Yes.
good to know. Right.
Yeah, and we do, go out and do little scavenger hunts. There's about 24 images per roll, and so they go out in teams of 2. Each kid gets 12 shots, and we would create a list of, it's like a scavenger hunt, like take a picture of something pink, or like take a
Hmm.
portrait of somebody, or take a picture of like a leading line. And so it's fun. The campus is, pretty photogenic, so they're able to run around and, have fun and take photos. They seem to enjoy it a lot.
Hmm.
Yep, here they are in the dark room. We've since expanded our dark room a bit more. So before we only had 4 enlargers, now we have 7.
Wow.
But this is them after making prints. I mean, it's amazing. It was such a fun experience, like, because these girls, they wanted to photograph, and they wanted to learn.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's hard to tell in the picture, but like they got some pretty good stuff for being in 5th grade. Like, and it's cool because their perspective is totally different. They're going to take pictures totally different than what we see.
Right.
So it was cool for me to see that as well. And it, helps me with my process too.
It's amazing. Like they're getting this like high school, college level experience.
Yes,
Great.
exactly.
It just blows my mind.
Yeah, it's pretty unique. In this picture, this is this year. So this is at the beginning of the quarter. These are little cutouts that have like the trays on them, so they can learn which is the correct order of the chemistry.
Hmm.
And it's sort of fun. Then it's paired with text, which says like what each thing is. So it's just a fun little game for them to get it in, to dial it in, because it is confusing. There's like 4 or 5 different baths of chemistry and water, and there's a certain order it goes in, and you have to know that before you go in, or it's just not going to work, and you're going to be like confused. It's like, why didn't it work? It has to be very specific on how it goes.
Absolutely. And here we go in the bath.
Yeah, that's so those are photograms. So that's like use the enlarger to shine the light on the photographic paper. You don't even need a camera. You can just find things on the ground. There's a feather, buttons. It's fun. You can be really creative in the darkroom without the use of a complicated camera, which is cool.
I see pipe cleaners.
Yes, yeah. It's amazing. It's cool because they'll pick all these objects for whatever reason, and then like some look cooler than others, and they're like, wow, what the heck, like line, the light shines through some and not all of them. So it's fun. Yeah, that's Sinjana, and that's one of the cameras that we use. And I think that was probably a day we were doing some we were practicing reeling film and loading the cameras.
That's great. I think that's it.
Nice.
So thank you for sharing more about that. And tell us about your yearly memberships and, workshops that you may have coming up.
Yeah, totally. So the dark room, the studio space, the developing room is all open to the community. For example, you can come work in the dark room. It's $15 an hour. And that's chemistry included, that's me included. And like I'm here when people rent space. So if anybody has any questions, like I'm more than happy to come in there and work with them. We have post-processing materials, so you can mount your photographs. Like after they're printed, you can mount them, so they're ready to present in a frame. We also have a developing room with a full sink. You can develop 35 millimeter all the way to 8x10. We have this Jobo machine that does all sorts of stuff. We have a main studio space where you can, do your post-processing. You have a lot of room to work. But yeah, we have yearly memberships. So there's two different types. There's an artist membership, which gives you access to the space.
And how much is that? How much is
that? It's $100 a month, 50 for students, and it's free access. I mean, you come in whenever. You just, I give you a code, you put it in, you reserve your time. That's how time is reserved on our website. There's a widget. You just go in and pick the date, pick the time, and then you're good to go. So that allows you to, you get to come in flexible whenever you want. You can work and it's, and then there's the benefactory membership where you submit yearly and you get access to, I'm going to be doing like a lecture schedule for next year, and also like certain days of the week where if you're a member, you can come for free and do like alternative process stuff like cyanotypes, which is that blue process. So you can make that kind of stuff. So that's something I'm going to be planning for next year. So that's something you get if you become a member, and you get discounts on workshops. So we also do workshops here. In the past, we've done all sorts of different types: platinum, cyanotype, gum bichromate, silver gelatin. So a lot of cool alternative process workshops. We have one more coming up in December that's sold out, carbon printing workshop, which will be really fun. And then for next year, I'm looking to host a couple, still in the works about scheduling and everything, but it's looking like we're going to do a collodion printing workshop, which is like, it's a really old style of photography. And even we might be able to do it on glass plates possibly, which would be really cool. That's really cool. Yeah. So I'm excited for that. And then we might do another gum bichromate workshop as well. So it's just a wonderful place to host workshops. We have so much room. It's just a wonderful spot.
That's great.
Yeah, I wanted to mention we do digital photographs for people. So I do digital printing for people. We have a Canon printer here. We have a couple different profiles for specific papers, and I can work with people to get digital prints done that they want done. So we've been doing that for a little bit as well, which is fun.
That's great. And then you have fundraising efforts, right, before the close of the year?
Yes. So we have an end of year fundraising campaign. Its goal is to establish a digital photography lab in our headquarters. Since 2004, it's only been silver gelatin, which is great and awesome. And it's always going to be like our root cause, because that's just what we do. It's my family. That's just all we do. But it's I'm been the past couple of years just realizing that we're missing out on a lot of students that I would like to represent. And unfortunately, with only doing film, we're pretty limited to schools that only have dark rooms, and there's only a couple of those. And it seems like every year it's like one goes, or it's like, they don't last. So this year for the Weston Scholarship, we're going to open it up to accept digital photograph, but still portfolios, so still printed and mounted, but we're going to be accepting digital this year.
That's
So
great.
I'm trying to spread the word. I'm trying to get in contact with all the teachers that don't have, that we haven't been in contact with before, to let them know that there's this opportunity for them to submit. But going back to the fundraising campaign, I want to establish a digital photography lab in here, which just means like 4 to 5 iMac computers with like a set of digital cameras, because then that can be incorporated into our partnership with MLK. I think it would be a really cool way to teach the students certain aspects of photography, like composition and lighting, that are a little bit harder to do with film, because there's so many steps to figure out you've messed up, right? So like, I could see, starting with digital and then film being sort of like an advanced program that kids sort of work their way to if they want to. But yeah, we have an awesome Canon printer here, so I could just see so many cool things with students getting awesome prints and doing shows. I mean, there's a gallery here at the school that they have dedicated, so I could see like stuff going up there. And then, even with doing digital, you can even go younger, because I mean, they may not be doing like everything, but I mean, like when they're young kids, they can still pick up a camera and take pictures.
Absolutely. They're already doing it anyway with their family's iPhones.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have a fundraising goal in mind? Is there a number or not yet?
Not really. I mean, my goal was like $3,000. We have 3 donors who pledged to be matched up to $1,000. So
great.
If I could reach 3,000 plus that 6,000, I mean, it'd be pretty nice. I think it would be good to get us started in the right direction.
That's great. That is wonderful. So I know you have a project in mind. I don't know if you're able to talk about it yet, in regards to seaside businesses.
Yeah. So we've been working on, me and my buddy Jake Thomas, we've been working on it. We're working on funding to get it going, but basically the project is documenting the storefronts of Seaside, because we're on Broadway. I mean, we're on the very top of Broadway, but Seaside itself has been doing a lot of evolving over the past couple of years. A
lot of revitalization.
A lot of new businesses, but also a lot of old businesses that have been there for a while. And we think it would be an awesome project to incorporate photography and take pictures of the storefronts, take pictures of the people working there, do interviews of them, hear about their stories and their struggles, and then those writings would go onto our blog post, and then we'd take pictures of them, and then the end goal would be have like a show somewhere on Broadway that showed them and their store and all that stuff. And I just think it'd be really a fun project. So that's in the works for sure. We're working on that.
Okay, great. I just got a question that came in. People want to know how to donate equipment to you.
Yeah, so to donate equipment, you can just shoot me an email. My email is zach@thewestoncollective.org, and that's Zach with an H.
And we'll be sure to put all of your contact information in the Facebook feed.
Awesome.
I love this project. I love I'm just always I like history, so I like to see how things evolve. So I think this is an amazing project and opportunity for the community to document what's happening now, because the future, it's gonna be, if you look at the plans, it's gonna be really different in about 10 years here.
Yeah, totally. And that's one great thing about photography, is you can document like that. You can use it as a tool that's both for documenting, but also artistic. So it's cool to be able to use that, to use the camera, use this space here. I mean, we're on Broadway, so it's really fitting to work with all the businesses down there. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's great. That's great. Well, Zach, it has been a pleasure to speak with you today and to highlight all the work that you're doing and the Weston Collective and your donors and your family. So just appreciate, and the students and all of the work that they're doing here in the community. So Where can we find you online?
Yeah, so our website is thewestoncollective.org, and we can find us on Instagram at the Weston Collective. And then I also have my personal account, which is Zachary Cole Weston. Yeah, check us out. We're
Yeah,
here.
definitely
Come on
sign
in.
up for your e-newsletter. I always enjoy reading it. So I encourage everyone to be sure to sign up. So thank you so much for being here again today, Zach. Appreciate your time. And I just tell our community to stay tuned for another artist spotlight next month. And be sure to comment and share this artist spotlight. And to learn more about the Arts Council for Monterey County, visit us at www.arts4mc.org. Thank you and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks, Karen.
Bye.